When True Blue posted Michael's death certificate on the forum again, to compare it with other certificates, I noticed something I hadn't noticed before. Michael's death certificate is issued by the Department of Health Services, as is stated on top of the record. Others were issued by the Department of Public Health. So what does that mean? When I searched for the Department of Health Services online, I found the Department of Healthcare Services. According to Wikipedia, the California Department of Healthcare Services is a department within the California Health and Human Services Agency, that finances and administers a number of individual healthcare service delivery programs, including Medi-Cal, which provides healthcare services to low-income people. It was formerly known as the California Department of Health Services, which was reorganized into the Department of Healthcare Services and the California Department of Public Health. So according to Wikipedia, the Department of Health Services was split up and renamed. So what would be interesting to know, is when this change occurred exactly. I decided to message the Department of Public Health on Facebook and ask. They gave me the following information. Death certificates are issued by the Department of Public Health. On July 1, 2007, Senate Bill 162 established the California Department of Public Health within the Health and Human Services Agency. Prior to 2007, public health programs operated within the Department of Health Services. When I asked if all death certificates were issued by Department of Public Health since that date, they said that seems accurate, but that my question would best be suited for their Vital Records office. So I decided to dig a little more. I first searched for the Senate bill number they gave me, which I will link to in the description. Not only was the Department of Public Health established to take over most of the tasks of the Department of Health Services, the Department of Health Services was renamed to Department of Healthcare Services on that same date. I found this document online from July 24, 2007. Effective July 1, 2007, Senate Bill 162 established the California Department of Public Health within the existing Health and Human Services Agency and statutorily transferred certain responsibilities from CDHS, or California Department of Health Services, to the new CDPH, or California Department of Public Health. At the same time, CDHS is renamed as the Department of Healthcare Services, or DHCS. In that same letter, the receivers are asked to update their contact details. This is a video of 2007 with even more evidence that this bill indeed went into effect. I will link to the full video in the description.
This is an historic time for public health. By signing Senate Bill 162, Governor Schwarzenegger established two agencies, each committed in different ways to the continuous improvement of the health of all Californians.
You know, in California we face a lot of disease, and disasters, outbreaks, floods, forest fires, threats of terrorism, and we also face bioterror, disease outbreaks, and other risks such as pandemic flu. And now, with this new Department of Public Health, is an additional way to strengthen our state and to be ready. This department will be especially focusing on emergency preparedness and the core public health challenges. It will maximize the state's resources, help us manage the communicable diseases, chronic diseases, pandemic threats, and any other health challenges that are in our state.
Dr. Mark Horton will become Director of the Department of Public Health.
I think what we're celebrating here today is the history of a very strong and powerful organization. The Department of Health Services has a track record of taking actions that have significantly improved and impacted the health of the population of California.
Sandra Shulry will continue her work to deliver health care to all Californians as Director of the Department of Healthcare Services.
In our country today, we spend 15% of our gross domestic product on health care. I think we really have a right and a responsibility to demand high performance in terms of health outcomes. I'm really excited about being Director of the Department of Healthcare Services because I think we can use the purchasing power within the department to drive system and performance, system improvement in our healthcare delivery system.
When you go to the website of the parent agency of these two departments, the California Health and Human Services Agency, you will see that no Department of Health Services is listed anymore. There is still a Department of Health Services though. As part of a newly formed LA County Health Agency, a new Department of Health Services was set up in 2010. They provide healthcare to youth in the juvenile justice system, to inmates in county jails and to children in foster care. Through academic affiliations with the University of Southern California and UCLA, DHS hospitals are training sites for physicians completing their graduate medical education in nearly every medical specialty and subspecialty. They also run the Emergency Medical Services Agency and the county's 911 emergency response system. Plus they aim to build 10,000 supportive housing units for chronically homeless individuals. There are 4 hospitals and 19 clinics connected to this department, not one of them is Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. So from what I found so far, there was no Department of Health Services on June 25, 2009. The Department of Public Health is the department that has been issuing vital records since July 1, 2007. When you look at other death certificates, you will see that the records from before July 1, 2007, have health services on them. And the ones after July 1, 2007, have public health on top. The only one I found that was from after 2007 and had health services on it, was Patrick Swayze's death certificate, which was leaked by E! News, yet now can only be found on autopsyfiles.org because the news websites have all removed the certificate from their websites, which makes you think if it was even real. It has the same kind of strange printing lines on the record as on Michael's record, as if it was copied on the state paper instead of directly printed. I don't see that on the other death certificates. With that, I am not saying Patrick Swayze faked his death, I am only saying that the death certificate that was released back in 2009 by E! News, was likely fake too. But who made it and why? We do know one link between Michael and Patrick. Kenny Ortega. Kenny was the choreographer for Dirty Dancing. Was Patrick involved in a way before his death? Or did the same person who faked Michael's certificate, also fake Patrick's record to throw people off who might have noticed Michael's said health services instead of public health? Because no one would question Patrick's death after his battle with cancer. I guess we can only assume. Before anyone is going to mention it, I know that there are 2 other versions of the death certificate. One is from January 8, 2010 and comes from the Registrar Recorder County Clerk. This is where News of the World, who published it, purchased the copy. This means that even though it's fake, the certificate is apparently filed. This to me only confirms that Michael must have had help from government agencies. The other copy is of extreme low quality, so I honestly can't say much about it. It is from January 11, 2010, but looks like a Photoshop of the originally released document, as if they suddenly realized their mistake in the header of the document. But I can't find any copies of this one online at all anymore, and I have no idea what the source was of this document, which makes it questionable altogether. I am not sure if this is something or nothing, but I found it to be very interesting. One would assume that after nearly 2 years, the County of Los Angeles would not be using certificate paper of a non-existing department anymore, right? I did send the Vital Records office an email today and I will update you on that when I get a reply.